Hello and welcome back, everybody, to Season 7 of the ABL. It's been a long time, but we are back with some great action, and what a start. We're going to have our reigning champions, Recon 5, taking on the new blood in Polaris eSports. As always, I am your host and play-by-play Audio Adrenaline. Joining me today on the desk is none other than Rebel Fox. How are you?
I'm doing great. Every day is a great day when there's ABL, especially when we're kicking off a new season like this.
And with such an exciting game, it is such a high profile. Polaris eSports, new team, not exactly new players. We have some star power like Gotti or Ozzy and Jack, but they are going up against the top team in the league.
Absolutely. Recon 5 coming off of that championship victory. Even better is, you're talking what was considered the weakness of that team was their bot lane. They bring in new players, Yuki Bunny, Boom Hunter, very, very high-class players that might actually make this team better than their old championship team.
They very well could, but we are right into the pick and ban phase already. No time to waste. Polaris eSports taking away the Nidalee, the Sivir, the Karma, Recon 5 taking out Camille, Sejuani, and Yuumi. It looks like Polaris are going to be going for a Sona Tahm Kench lane. The Sona is locked in. We'll see the Tahm Kench follow suit as Recon 5 pick up two power picks in the Aatrox and the Lux.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Locking this bot lane is a very, very safe way to protect the Sona. It scales very, very well late. But again, that one weakness when running Sona Taric is that you can get aggressed on. But the Tahm Kench prevents that so well in a way that Taric just cannot. So it's very, very good job from them. Blocking in something very, very high class in the meta. On the opposite side, Lux, best support in the game right now. Hands down, Aatrox, absolutely the best top laner and very arguably one of the top mid laners. So very good flex picks already from Recon 5. Both these teams are very, very involved in this meta.
And I think this is so smart by Recon 5. They're saying, yeah, we're going to leave up the Sona and the Taric, Sona, Tahm Kench, whichever way you want to play it. But if you guys lock yourselves into that, we're going to get so much in return. We're going to get the Aatrox that we can flex this top or mid. We're going to get the strongest support. And we're going to get our choice of ADC as they pick up the Xayah. So really just kind of allowing that bottom lane to go through and trusting that they're going to have the composition to take care of it.
Yeah, very interesting. You also have a little bit of flexibility, as I said. Lux can go support, also can be flex mid if necessary. Aatrox taking top or mid, depending on where you want to. It can actually go to the jungle as well. But certainly both teams absolutely taking this meta, taking full grasp and advantage of some of these champions. Now we get to see these, more targeted bans trying to prevent some of these bot lanes, prevent some of these more power picks from coming.
Yep, Ace is going to ban out the Recon. Not fully convinced that Lux is going into the support role. They still want to make sure that Recon 5 don't pull a sneaky on them and take the Lux into the mid lane and pick up a Xayah Recon bot side as Recon 5 take away Hecarim and Rek'Sai. So pinching the jungler pool, that actually might hint that they are taking that Aatrox into the jungle because there is that flexibility there.
That's true. There's also not much shared pool between Moody and Gotti, so it's not targeted. A lot of these champions, Sejuani, Rek'Sai, Hecarim, not many things that Moody really likes to play, so it makes sense to really target out those champions so that, Moody can get comfort, and Gotti has to play something that he might not be ready to play, at least into the likes of Moody.
Absolutely. As the last bans come through, Recon 5 could be locking in at least for their junglers, so Aatrox will be going to that top side of the map. With that being shown, we do still see Mordekaiser up on the table. He is enabled for the teams to play as we've had a full patch since his release. So if they wanted to possibly flex around that Aurelia, that is an option for them. He's been pretty dominant in solo queue.
Yeah, and Ozzy is a very, very good Aurelia if he wants to play that champion. Nico, something else, at least in his wheelhouse. As you're talking this Mordekaiser, it's something very, very strong, but I don't know if we see it here because of how often it's been banned. There's just almost no way to get practice on it, especially in a team setting like this.
That is true, as they do lock in the Nico for themselves. We're still not going to know exactly where those two laners are going between the Aurelia and the Nico until we actually see in the client who is going to be piloting them. The importance of flex picks is even Recon 5 can't guarantee they're going to get a good matchup because Nico could go to the top side and build that press the attack on hit style, or she can still flex to the mid lane because we know Ozzy is proficient on both of these champions.
Absolutely. And it wouldn't shock me to see maybe Zoe, if they still want a mid laner. It would fit this kind of poke style that Aatrox and Elise can zone for and allow Xayah to be free. They don't have really good frontline. Aatrox is very good at, but nothing else beyond that. No real flat tankiness like the Tahm Kench, like the Nunu. Wouldn't shock me to see something like that. Instead, opting for this Kennen for more damage, more engaged. They want to fight.
Yeah, going to be the Kennen in the top side. I assume that is going to be the Aatrox flex to the mid lane then. And I really like the kind of composition that Recon 5 is put together. They have a lot to work with. Elise is, if she goes to any single lane, she's got gank support. There is CC on every single one of these members of Recon 5. And so it's really just going to be a field day here for the jungler. She has the pick of the litter on where she wants to affect the map. Ace have clear strengths and weaknesses, though. The top side is where they are going to want to focus their attention, as the Sona Taric really just wants to farm up under turret.
Yeah, that they do. I think something very important to notice is that there's like aggression that comes out of the side of Recon 5 with all these lanes, all this gank assist, like you say. They're very much a front foot team. They want to constantly aggress, constantly find picks, and then even as they transition into the team fight, they want a death ball. They want to go in together. The Kennen, the Aatrox, the Elise, all in, and then Xayah Lux just running forward from the backline doing what they can. Ace on the other side. Polar Ace takes this composition with Sona, with Tahm Kench, with Aurelia, even with Neeko. That's more considerably a counter-engaged composition. I think it is difficult to fight into if Polar Ace gets an advantage, but Recon 5, as you said, can absolutely snowball this game to high hell, and that would be terrifying to deal with, especially coming out of the gate for our returning champions.
It definitely would, but Recon 5, the team to beat right now, as they are our reigning champions. Polar Ace eSports has a lot on their shoulder, being a new team in the league. We've talked a little bit about the strengths of the compositions, but what are some clear win conditions for Polar Ace to be able to take down the behemoths of Recon 5?
So a big thing is that Polar Ace puts Gaudier on this Nunu Willump, and that's something that can not only engage pretty well and find these ganks and accessibility, but he can also counter gank very, very well, especially against this Elise. One big snowball can completely shut her out of her ability to gank and potentially open for some re-engage. We talk about some of the gank assists, but Aurelia, Neeko, very, very good in the same fashion. So one big snowball hitting on either of these solo laners could mean an advantage for one of these champions. I really think that it's going to be focused around Gaudier's ability to gank and to counter gank these lanes. Because if this team does get to late game, you're talking Aurelia, Neeko, Sona, very, very strong late game champions. And Nunu is really the only pure tank in the game. So that composition just gets terrifying as the game goes on. I think that's where they really have to put a lot of their focus. Recon 5, I think we've said it enough. They're on the front foot. They're aggressive. They have the Elise. They have the Aatrox. They have power picks in the Lux and the Kennen. They want to go forward, and they want to go forward fast. And they want to get aggressive, and they want to steamroll the side of Polar Ace. They're the ones that drafted the Sona Tahm Kench. Recon 5 want to look to punish.
That they do. They are going to look to continue their dominance from last season, as they made that incredible run of the second half of the split, went all through playoffs, and then won the championship, took it all home. We are waiting on some of the players to get into the lobby. We're getting ready checks very soon, so we'll get into the actual champion select and start breaking down these lane by lane matchups. Find out exactly what we can expect from this game. Looking at this first game, though, because it is going to be a best of three, just at the composition so far, do you think Polar Ace has, a good shot at least taking this first game?
I do really like Sona. I think Sona's a very strong champion, but I think Sona with these melee supports is a little bit overrated in terms of its position in the meta. I think it's safe. I think it provides good utility for the team. It's just difficult to, kind of manage a team composition around it, especially in 5v5s, especially at this level in particular. So I'm not a huge fan of Sona at this level unless I see it really, really work. So they have to impress me on it in game one because I'm not sold on the idea of running this Sona. Neeko and Aurelia, both very good picks. I'm glad they weren't opting for Akali, Sylas, a couple of champions that got absolutely gutted this patch. So it does show me that they're at least on top of things there. Again, I want to see how this team operates. We're new to this team. They're bringing back old players, things like Gaudier, Ozzy, things like that. I need to see how they perform on some of these champions that they've opted for before I can make a decision on whether their composition is going to work. If name tags were off right now, I would say Recon 5 has the better of the two compositions. But because I know some of the pedigree coming in from Polar Ace, I expect it to at least be competitive.
I think I would have to agree with you. Recon 5, a great draft to allow themselves a lot of playmaking around the map. But let's talk a little bit about these lane assignments because we're seeing some of the champions locked in here. In the top lane is going to be Tanzo on Kennen versus Rampage's Nico. Not exactly what we expected. We didn't know if the Aurelia or the Nico was going to be in the top side. How do you expect this lane to unfold?
Yeah, this is interesting because they're both champions that are like ranged AP abusers that also kind of sometimes use Kleptomancy. So we'll have to see what they opt for. Sometimes you go press the attack if you want to go AD. Phase Rush is something you run on like. There's very interesting keystone matchups that could come in here. The thing is that all-in potential definitely goes to the Kennen, at least pre-level 6. Nico does have that counter engage with her own AoE ultimate, all those kinds of things. But poke-wise, Nico is terrifying to deal with for this Kennen. You see it in a couple of different matchups where anyone who can all engage or poke him out can absolutely gain an advantage. So again, Rampage's Nico is going to have to show me something good, but I do think pure 1v1 lane matchup, Nico has the advantage.
And do you expect us to see that AP Nico style, with some of the lane poke, or do you think we might be getting a little bit of that press the attack on hit coming from Rampage?
I think based on the composition they're running, where it's more about this kiting style, I think they are more. They have the ability to run this AD Nico where it could be more of the on hit, more of that auto attack stat based style. The issue is then your E doesn't do as much, your Q doesn't do all this kind of guaranteed damage that Nico would have kind of goes down the drain. So the question is like, are they willing to take an aggressive build with the Nico, go Blade of the Rune King, things like that, so they have a more consistent damage in their counter engage, or do they want the guaranteed like AoE, the roots, the Qs, the ultimates that absolutely provide damage up front so that Aurelia can clean up, so that Sona can clean up, that kind of thing.
All right, and in the mid lane, we talked about Ozzy and his star power that he's had throughout the entirety of the ABL, actually. When you talk about top-tier mid laners, his name is always on that list. May not always be at the top, but he is in the conversation nonetheless. He's on the Aurelia, which we know he can show an incredible performance with. But Sandillion, no slouch himself in the mid lane, and he's got a powerful pick like Aatrox to take up against Ozzy. How do you expect this lane to work out?
Yeah, I gotta give a lot of props to Sandillion. I really do think that last year he was not only a very good mid laner, but I think in the offseason he's gotten even better. So he's starting to develop into a player that like individually is very strong, as well as being incredible in this team setting. Ozzy is a very, very strong player on his own right. We've seen that before. But I really, it's hard to question Sandillion's ability after what we saw last year from him. This matchup, though, is super volatile from both sides. Either one can easily snowball in the correct direction. I just think it's difficult for Nunu to gank this Aatrox, especially past level 6, and Elise has a much easier job trying to gank this Aurelia after some of the changes that have come about. Elise is a lot stronger of a jungler right now. So personally, I think it's more about the jungler in the mid lane matchup, but I think Elise and Moody and Sandillion on these champions have the advantage in the 2v.
All right, and finally in this bot side, Sona and Tahm Kench against Xayah and Lux. Pretty obvious that the Xayah and Lux are going to have an advantage here, but we do see XM and Jack going for the teleport and cleanse. So really missing any form of combat summoners seems like a bit of a risky move. Do you think they have a chance to even make it through the laning phase?
I think that they're opting for the right thing. I think cleanse on the Tahm Kench is absolutely crucial, especially in a matchup against this Lux, where if she hits one single root when you have Sona eaten, it could be a lot of damage that you're taking, if not just an insta kill. The one thing I do think is the teleport from the Sona, I think, is a little too much. I think that could be punished very, very easily. If she burns TP and then dies to a gank, she is going to be easily punishable over and over again. My one question is, why are you running Xayah instead of running Caitlyn? Because Caitlyn does the same thing with the positioning in the roots and that kind of thing, with further range and better damage, at least with the crits in the early stages. I think Yuki Bunny plays a good Caitlyn too, but I don't think it's going to go unpunished. I think XM has to play much, much more passive with this teleport as opposed to something like a heal or an exhaust or something along those lines. But certainly the lane's at least doable since Tahm Kench has this cleanse. It can prevent any of those kills that Lux might bring.
And finally, the junglers. The last one we have to talk about, Moody, going with that hyper-aggressive early jungler in Elise, can have so much power in these laning phase, especially with all the CC that we've talked about to set him up for the ganks. Going against Goddeer, who is definitely a veteran of the ABL, piloting Nunu. Who do you expect to have the more, the better early game, let's say?
Again, I think Elise is just not only the better early game champion, but just for what these teams want to accomplish with these. I think Recon 5's composition around this Elise is incredible. It is a great composition to run around Elise. So if Moody is just as proficient on this champion as we've seen him be on countless others, this could be a very, very easy win for Recon 5. That's not to say right now that Nunu is a weak champion. It's just that in the early stages, Elise has distinct advantage with her damage with her outside. Scaling-wise, Nunu clearly becomes a much stronger champion, especially in this game. But I think if you're talking first 15 minutes, Elise runs the show.
All right, well, we will see if Recon 5 is able to continue their dominance and pick up an early start to the season against Polar Ace, or if the new kids on the block can take a win off of the big bad Recon 5. We're going to go into a short intermission before we get into the game. Don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss this. Okay.
Back to 4.
And welcome back, everybody, to the first game of ABL Season 7, Recon 5 versus Polar Ace eSports. We've talked about the compositions to the absolute end, and now we get to see how these teams can execute. The entirety of Polar Ace moving out as a 5-man unit here into the jungle. Things might get a little spicy.
Absolutely. They're trying to catch this Kennen off guard, which is an immediate run up towards the top lane. I don't think they're going to. Yeah, he's going to be able to find that out pretty quickly. Well done by Konzo. He did get there just in time. They get his ward, though. That's 5.
They do get some extra gold in their pockets. Rampage going to be sitting on 10 gold there. 4 more of those, and he can buy an extra.
Already has the first lead of the season. This team's unstoppable. I don't know how anyone's going to deal with that. I just give them the championship now, honestly. Like it's
Polar Ace eSports have the biggest lead of the Season 7, the entirety of ABL.
The wards!
They are just too good. Their early game is unbeatable. We have not seen a better early game in Season 7.
This is true.
All right. Well, and thank you to everybody for tuning into this first game of Season 7 ABL. If you do enjoy the broadcast, make sure to follow the channel. And if you want to support us a little bit more, help you bring some more great content, you can always subscribe or give tips to us. We do appreciate it. All of your donations go straight to our broadcast team and content creation. So it's all really coming back to you. So you're really just tipping yourself. But now into the game. Minute and 45 seconds. Slight gold advantage over to Polar Ace eSports because of that ward. We see Yuki Bunny, Boom Hunter looking for that cheesy level 1 bush. However, with that, they are going to give away the information that the Nunu did start on the top side. Even if they hadn't, though, they do spot him out on a really good ward placed down by the Raptor pit.
Yeah, both got their Raptors warded out here. I don't think that Gaudier was able to know that fact, so he just goes to his Raptors anyway. Moody was able to path around it, so they have a little less information on where Moody is. Nunu can only hit the mid or the bottom side of the map. Clearly pressure in this bot side with this Lux and this Zaya means they'll be pushed forever. Glad to have the information that Nunu's on this bot side.
That light binding just barely missing down there in the bot lane. For those of you who might be a little out of touch with the league meta these days and wondering why you're seeing a Sona and a Sona and a Tahm Kench paired together, Sona is kind of now a carry, I guess. You start out the lane with Sona taking support item and just farming up Kleptomancy and Frostfang procs while Tahm Kench takes all the farm. Then once Sona finishes her support item, she can start taking CS for herself. And later on to the game, you just become a powerhouse of heals and shields and crazy damage with a build like a Luden's or a Death Cap and a Luden's Echo, just full AP coming out from there. But Moody looking for level 3 gank. Gonna be Aussie just backing off from that one.
Yeah. Right now, I think that the important thing about Sona is that it's just so easy to stay in the bot lane and not die with champions like this Tahm Kench, like Galio, like Taric, that like you can get one of these support items, get you a ton of gold and vision in the later stages of the game. And then Sona just becomes this amazing support for your team. It's not about necessarily hyper carrying like some of these like the Zaya will definitely do, but having the support for some of these champions like Aurelia and like Nico that can do the carrying for you is very, very crucial. And then having, of course, double wards, double sight stones just gives you so much vision pressure in the later stages of the game that if you can make it work in the early stages, it's very, very effective against some of these carries.
That it definitely is. However, we did mention the XM going for the teleport with Jack going for the cleanse. So they really want to make sure they do not fight at all because they will just flat out lose a 2v2. That's pretty standard for the Sona lane anyway, especially with no combat sums. Do land the binding with Jack able to gobble him up and spit him out. That is why you pick something like the Tahm Kench, and that's why you put cleanse on him as well. As long as Jack has that cleanse, there's really no way for XM to die, because if he gets CC'd, then he just gets devoured. If Jack gets CC'd, he just pops the cleanse, and it's really hard to lock him down.
Yeah, outside of some really good chain GC from the Zaya Feathers, from the Lux, or from like an Elise Cocoon, there's really no way for this lane to die. So what Yuki Bunny has to do is really focus on getting his gold, getting these minions.
Hang on there, though, because XM and Jack are a little bit pushed up, and here comes Moody. Lands the Great Cocoon into the binding onto Jack, burns the cleanse, but it's not enough. Too late, the shield not available to him yet, and first blood gonna go to Recon 5 jungler.
Yeah, and as we said, the best way to counter against Tahm Kench with the cleanse, stack your CC. You get the cocoon onto Sona, he forces out the E, then you get light binding, you get Featherstone, all of these things just stacking on top of each other. Tahm Kench had no ability to get out of that, no chance to even flash out of that situation. Very close onto the Sona.
Until XM had been devoured by the Tahm Kench. Unfortunately, Jack was a little bit slow on that cleanse, so he took a little bit more damage than he intended. I don't think he got the Great Health Shield off either. So a little bit of a misplay there from the bottom side of Polaris Esports, but overall, great proactive play from Moody. This is exactly what you want to see against the Sona Tahm Kench. I'm going to mess that up all game. You want to see proactive punishing that early game.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the disadvantage of having a Sona in the spot lane is not only is your dueling power a little bit weaker, is also that she's not very mobile. Especially her E is nice, her ultimate is nice to try to get around, but she is not a particularly mobile champion. So you can aggress on her just the same way that they did last time. Recon 5 bouncing back from that championship and still looking like a very, very strong team.
They definitely are. That one kill, although it is unfortunate, at least the goal didn't go over directly to Yuki or Boom Hunter. So at the end of the day, Sona and Tahm Kench should still have a decent time surviving this lane as long as they're willing to stay under their turret. Or if they do push up like this, make sure you ward the jungle paths.
Absolutely. But it does make it more terrifying for the rest of this map that has to deal with a now 1-kill Elise. As soon as she is on that Runic Echoes, she can absolutely destroy some of these champions, especially look at this Aurelia. Aussie is currently down 20 CS underneath of Sindillion, who already has a Phage. When the Elise starts coming in on a lane like this, it can be very difficult for him to try to manage that.
It definitely can. Looking in at the CS, we do see Tom Kench, who is the one that is farming earlier on, about 20 behind Yuki. That's actually pretty standard for a Sona support lane, is having, you know, about 20 CS deficit early on. And then once Sona starts farming, you can start to kind of close that gap, because she does actually, you know, have some decent damage. Yeah. But Yuki and Boom Hunter letting the wave push into them, making sure that Jack and XM can't just safely tunnel under their turret. Light Binding does not find its Hunter, as Jack gobbles up that minion to spit it out, make sure that XM can get the gold.
Absolutely. Again, when you're looking at this bot lane with the Sona and the melee support, whoever that might be, in this case, Tom Kench or, Tarek, Gallia, that kind of thing, you want to look at combined gold for the first, 10, 15 minutes of the game while that spell piece is stacking. Right now, you're talking about 4,000 gold in the pocket of Ace. On the opposite side, you're talking somewhere in the realm of about 20 or 4,200, 4,300 gold. So a slight advantage over there from the CS that they're freezing on their side of the lane, coupled with the assists that they got onto the kill on Jack.
Yep, and now we see the Nunu just kind of hovering around this mid lane, make sure nothing goes awry as Aussie is getting shoved under his turret. Moody looking for some counter jungles, but not really finding anything, as Gaudier has already cleared everything out. Up in the top side, we see the Nico and the Kennen very even, just 4 CS differential. Hanzo picks up a couple under his turret. But all in all, not a very proactive early game from either side. Aussie, though, burns the Q to get in. That means he's going to be missing that gap closer. Gaudier is nearby, but Aussie blows the flash out of respect of Moody's Cocoon.
Yeah. What was nice about that is that, despite not having really any pressure between Moody and the Aatrox, they were still able to burn Aussie's flash. The other big thing is that Gaudier had jungle to counter jungle away from the Elites. 2, 3 camps on that top side. There was no vision control. They would have had no idea he was there. Instead, opts to try to gank mid lane. Sindillion just has so much control. Completely ineffective. And now, at least these 3 free camps on the top side that could have been taken away.
Absolutely could have. The Elise, actually, sitting pretty even in farm over Gaudier, but has had more impact around the map. Got the first blood on the bot side, and got the flash burnt on Aussie there in the mid lane. So overall, I am impressed with how Moody is playing the start of this match.
Absolutely. He's doing exactly what he needs to do as this Elise he needs to control. Again, once he gets Runic Echoes, maybe gets completed boots, something like that, he can really start to get around the map and start tearing through some of these solo lanes, especially hitting the Nico, especially now Aussie with no flash.
Ooh, here comes the snowball going through. Vanguard's edge going to be popped. World Ender in response. Can Sindillion get the takedown, though? He won't be able to, as the flash away. Absolute Zero gonna slow him down. And he's healing a lot, but the smite to come in to make sure that Gaudier gets that kill. A great counterplay by Polar Ace's jungler.
Yeah, rather unfortunate. He didn't have the Kindle gem yet, so there was some unfortunate, progress there. Had no CDR, so the
Recon 5 does not want to let this go unanswered. Cocoon still available. The stun is going to come through, and under the turret, Recon 5 find the response. They will not let their fallen brethren go unavenged. They take Gaudier down.
Yeah, fantastic move there from Tanza to run down the way. Again, Moody with this Elise and with this Kennen pick that they both have, they're very early game focused champions. So they a great job finding Gaudier under that tower, a little get greedy of the backing position, trying to protect his wave for Aussie to pick up. Just fantastic response by them. It was a bad play that Sindillion got caught out on, and then the rest of his team just makes up for it. Well done.
We do see Rampage picking up a plate for himself on the top side because Tonto decided to roam mid, but Sindillion swapping up there to make sure that nothing else is going to go over. Now Boom Hunter laying a trap here in the jungle. Aussie might fall into it, gets hit by the light binding. The flawless duet is going to land. That's enough to force him away, but Cocoon gonna come from the fog of war, and now Moody is on the hunt, takes down Aussie to get punished there in the jungle. I thought about to say it was second death, but he has only gone down once. But now with Polar Ace's mid laner gone, that is what Recon 5 needs to take this mountain.
Yeah, fantastic move by Boom Hunter, finding his way up the river. He was, near the area, was able to find that light binding onto Ozzy and just barely baited him enough. Ozzy didn't full commit to it, just a few steps too far into the river, and then the rest of his team just collapses immediately. This is all Moody, man. He's all over this map, making these plays happen.
We do see a replay on screen. Unfortunately, the replay is not of the game we are actually watching, so all of you at home, just ignore that one. We are going to be getting back into this game as XM and Jack are still being pushed under their turret. Jack now sitting 50 CS down. Sona still yet to complete her support item. This Sona Taric is getting very heavily punished, but Moody up here on the top side. Tangle Barb's not going to land, but here comes Sandillion to provide backup. It's a 3v1, and Tanzo will fall. Kill credit going over to the Aatrox, but a great ultimate there from Sona does find two. Here comes the snowball. Yuki Bunny blowing both of his summoners to get away. XM with these movement speed is on the chase. Finds the damage, doesn't opt for the slow from the power cord. Boom Hunter and Yuki will walk away with their lives. Jack takes a light binding there on the backhand, but summoners blown. Overall, very good gank there by Gadir, forces the flash and heal out of Yuki Bunny. That could be a potential re-gank possibility if they want to throw some more attention down there. Meanwhile, though, knowing that the jungler just showed bot side, Moody and Tanza went up to this Rift Herald. I love this from Recon 5. It's why they're one of the best teams in the league. It's why they won the championship. Even if they are, lose something in a play on the bot side, their ADC blows both summoners, they are always getting something back in return. This time it's that Rift Herald. It's 30 seconds until plates fall. I don't know if they'll be able to get it off before then. It's a possibility. As Jack taking a little bit of damage, but Yuki is just free firing here onto XM. Has the heals, but not quite enough to keep him sustained. Falls to about half health. They are going to lose another plate on their turret, but nobody in range for local gold. Means a little bit of a wasted opportunity. Now 14 minutes into the game, the plates have fallen. We see Recon 5 with a 3,000 gold lead, kind of what we expected coming out from their composition. And honestly, it is not the end of the world here for Polarized Esports. When you have a Sona and a support, the Sona Tahm Kench, you scale so ridiculously well into the late game, it is okay to fall, 3,000 gold behind is kind of the limit there. As long as it doesn't go too much further past that, coming into this mid-game team fights, they're going to have so much sustain that it'll be hard for Recon 5 to win the front to back. Now we see Gadir and Sandillion finding each other in the mid lane. Tahm Kench ultimate coming in behind with the rest of Recon 5 has joined. Absolute Zero being channeled. World Ender hasn't found a reset yet. There it is. Moody on a killing spree as Sandillion is looking to go in with the revive available. He finds a double kill off of a massive Q. Goes in with the flash for the triple under tower. Polar 8s are able to find a single kill on the backhand as Moody takes one too many turret shots. But a massive fight there for Recon 5, blowing the game wide open. They find 4. They find the mid-tier 2. And Rampage, the only surviving member, doing what he can, but he will not be able to keep that tier 2 turret alive. And Recon 5 come up absolutely massive. And it was a great idea there from Recon 5 to collapse in the jungle onto Sandillion. Hold on now. Gadir taking the blast cone into a blind jungle and has to flash over the wall. That red buff now is the property of Recon 5. You cannot take your own cannons without wards. Going back to that last play, though, it seemed like Sandillion was actually caught out, but he pops the World Ender. He knows that the rest of his team is coming around the wall of the blue buff, and so he runs to them to his backup, and then with no vision in the jungle, it is Polar Ace. They don't know what they are actually running into, and they walk straight into a Kennen ultimate, Moody's binding, and just get absolutely destroyed in the fight. You can also see on display why Aatrox is such a strong champion right now. His team fighting is incredible. As long as he can get that reset, all he needs is an assist. Just needs an assist while the World Ender is active. He gets that reset, gets the revive available, and he can just soak so much damage when the enemy knows that even if they take him down, he's not going to die. Recon 5 continue that pressure, transfer it into an Infernal Dragon. Their second Drake of the game, just 16 minutes in. I can help even up the score of the scaling now. Sandillion looking for some aggression here. Rift Herald is going to be dropped here on the bot side. You see Tanzo and Sandillion just zoning them away from this turret, not even letting them get close to the Rift Herald. Don't want this to be contested. Now XM being found. That's a lot of damage coming through from Sandillion. Final Spark not going to find XM. He's going to be able to walk away and heal up from that one. The low health bars mean this Rift Herald is going to charge in onto the tier 2 in bot. And the entire map is property of Recon 5 right now. Seems like they can just take whatever they want. It's a third Shelly charge. Going to land, taking that inhibitor turret down to half health.
I can see I missed some action while I DC'd there for a bit, but of course Recon 5 decides to snowball right when I leave, don't they?
TLDR, huge fight in the mid lane, got Recon 5 4 kills. They were able to take 4 turrets plus a Drake off the back side of it. All came down to some great baiting by Sandillion. What else are you going to expect coming from these Season 6 champions?
Yeah, talk about Moody's performance already. You're talking 100% kill participation on the season. Doing absolutely amazing.
So now we see the Polar Ice eSports just trying to get back some own vision in their jungle. You can see the plethora of wards here in this bottom half. It's all red. It's just a sea of red wards. The entire map is dark for Polar Ace. They do have some defensive vision in the top side, but Moody is going to be looking to change that here with this Oracle.
Yeah,
they're just so good at squeezing out the map.
Yeah, they're squeezing the top side of the map, especially with multiple members now heading up here. You have Elise and Lux trying to get more vision towards this top side as, Tanzo split pushes towards the bottom side of the map, and no one's there to respond to him, so he's going to push up quite a few minions, at least close to that inhibitor tower, and that frees up this top side for, Sandillion, for this Lux, and for this Elise to try to take advantage on the top side, try to get this top tower broken down so they can start freeing the map even more than they already have.
And I want to talk a little bit about itemization now that we're about at the 20-minute point. First of all, Sandillion hitting that crucial 2-item breakpoint of the Black Cleaver and the Death Stance. It makes you so ridiculously hard to kill. I also want to point out, though, that Moody rushed to Morellonomicon. I think that's so smart, going up against all the sustained healing from XM Sona. Now here in the bot side, Tanzo looking for a fight. Here comes Tahm Kench to make it a 1v3. Polar Ace, that's cheating. They bring in a 4th member.
Oh, you have to flash.
Tanzo is going to go down. They do get a flash in return as XM lands a great ultimate, but now 4 members strong up here in the top side. Recon 5 looking to get something back.
Yeah, was it worth it to bring all 4 members there? Flash and the ultimate as well from the Sona, so that's a big team fighting tool taken out just so that they could kill Tanzo, and they lose 2 of the towers on the top side of the map as well, and pressure around this Baron. Like, you can take what you can get, but that just seems like you gave up so much to get so little.
And Recon 5 know how big that Sona ultimate is to the team fight of Polar Ace, so now they're pressuring this Baron. They don't know there's a ward in the pit, so they're just hanging around, daring Polar Ace to come check it.
Yeah, and especially with this Aatrox on the 2 items, as you said, the Morellonomicon, the Runic Echoes, and the Sword Shoes done already for this Elise. They can't walk into a corridor if they are not completely ready to just, for Tahm Kench to eat you out.
All right, well now Recon 5 are going to clear out all the vision of the Baron pit. The map is dark for Polar Ace. And again, they're just baiting this objective. They don't start it up just yet. They're waiting to see if Polar Ace is going to phase check into the jungle. You see the Sandillion just over the wall. Finds a good chunk of damage on the Rampage. That 1 Q, taking him down to a quarter health. And he's going for more. He takes him down to half. He's going to back off, though. Misses the W, so doesn't have any further engage. Rampage is going to walk away.
Yeah, count your blessing there if you're Rampage. That Q hits, he dies.
Absolutely does. Because just the danger of walking a little bit into the jungle. Sandillion's like, no, you don't get to come anywhere near the Baron. Don't even walk up to blue buff. This entire map belongs to us. If you want to come in, it's going to cost you your life.
Absolutely. Or at least it's going to cost you quite a bit in terms of, what you have to give up in map pressure. We saw that a minute ago with Tonzo. This just goes back to the draft. Again, they drafted this Sona and the Tahm Kench for a very safe, scaling bot lane, and they did nothing else really with the rest of the map. The rest of the map was easily taken advantage of by this Elise pick and the Aatrox. Just such a strong pick right now. Giving that away as well as taking this more scaling option means that they're going to be on the back foot for at least another 10 minutes in the game just for free based on the champions that have been picked alive.
Okay, now an Elemental Drake, the second Infernal picked up here by Recon 5. They are just continuing their dominant map control here. Slowly squeezing the life out of Polar Ace eSports. It seems like they're only allowed to do what Recon 5 is giving them express permission for. Okay, you can farm this wave of minions under your tower, but nothing else anywhere else on the map.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult to get income for these scaling champions that they need to get into the game. Again, Nunu, Aurelia, even the Sona, things like that. They need time, and they're not getting much income at the moment. And now Baron's going down, 2 Infernal Drakes. This is huge advantage for Recon 5 as well.
And now they pick up the Baron. The Spooky Ghost's gonna spot him out just a little bit too late. And we'll see now what Recon 5 can do with this Baron. They have a 8,000 gold leads in their hand. And coming from one of the best team in the ABL Season 6, we really want to see a clean closeout from them. This Vanguard's Edge finds 2 members. A huge combo from Polar Ace. This might be their fight. Over the wall, finds a 3-man crescendo onto the back line. They find 1 pick, but can Recon 5 find some back? The XM is going to be gobbled up after the Aatrox. So much damage. Seraph's Embrace gonna shield him up for now, but Jack just gonna fall. Doesn't even get a chance to pop the shield. Moody going in aggressive under the turret. 1 member gone from Polar Ace. It's going to be the even trade, but can Recon 5 get anything off the back end?
Don't know. That was it was about as well of a fight as you could have gotten if you're hoping for Polar Ace, because they had the pure advantage, landed an amazing Vanguard's Edge out of lack of vision for the side of Recon 5, and still only end up with the 1 kill as opposed to literally anything else, and it gets traded for all things because Sindelian is so strong in the Aatrox pick, he can frontline the entire time. This is the gap of the advantage we see. They did take some air out of the sails of the
setting up the play in the jungle, and XM just gets deleted. Can Moody make it out? Does find the blast zone. Gets hit by the Tangle Barbs, though. Now has to run for his life. Some good pathing in the jungle. Runs to the safety of Sindelian. That's some disgusting amounts of damage.
I don't know what you're talking about. There isn't a Sona. Sona didn't. There's no Sona on the map. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah,
at least just jumped over the wall.
Sona was there just a moment ago. I don't know where she went. Completely disappeared.
Yeah, there must have been a glitch in the system for Riot. They must have just an accidental thing. We'll have them check on it, make sure that Sona is on the map next time. So.
You can see Recon 5 just
burst
going
damage.
right back at it. They want
it's incredible, man. It's too high. Like the Elise at this point in the game could probably honestly do that to everybody except maybe Tahm Kench and Nunu. Like all 3 of the carries on the side of Polar Ace would probably be popped that fast.
You can see the only magic resist coming out from the entirety of Polar Ace is the Nuno. He's got that 1 item that he went for right after the Cinderhawk. The Adaptathon was going to be reducing some damage, but you still got a 4-in-1 Aatrox to deal with.
Yeah, that you do. Plus, you also have this Xayah who really isn't behind at this point in the game. Double crit items plus the Zeal to make her a terror to have to deal with. And then, as you said, the Aatrox, huge frontline, does incredible damage with those Qs.
Recon 5 officially breaking the base as they take down their first inhibitor. Now looking to siege onto the second one. Baroned up minions firing away. Zakana in the back line doing some good work. Aatrox pulls the Nico back in and they find the life binding. Now Tonzo pulls the trigger on the engage, gets gobbled up by Jack to keep the Sona safe, but it's not gonna be enough. Recon 5 are getting everything. Aussie is the only remaining member, and you've gotta believe that this is going to be the end. Ultimate coming out from Xayah to dodge that flawless duet. And now, ushering Baron minions into the base. The first Nexus turret is going to fall. The second one soon to follow. Recon 5 retaining their dominance as they look to try to dive Aussie and they take game 1 in a decisive fashion.
Incredible game from Recon 5. They drafted a composition around early pressure. They got the early pressure, and then they executed on it in a very clean and just absolutely calculated fashion. Off the back of some fantastic performances basically across the board. Big congratulations. Moody did amazing in that game. Sindalian was a beast. Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter looked amazing in that bot lane as well.
Yeah, Yugi Bunny and Boom Hunter, although they didn't make any of the flashy plays, they weren't getting, as many kills as some of the rest of the team. They really put Sona and Tahm Kench in a hole that they could not dig out of. They put XM and Jack so far behind that they never got a chance to get that scaling online. Sona just sitting on the one item. And overall, incredibly clean performance from Recon 5. Took them one Baron to close out the game. Just one. That's what I love to see from these top teams. They don't only get the leads, they are able to close out the game so efficiently. And it leaves no doubt in my mind that Recon 5 is just as much on form as they were at the end of last season.
Absolutely. This is a team that controlled just about every aspect of the game. You're talking vision control, you're talking team fighting, skirmishing, picks basically across the board, objective play. They were incredible everywhere. They really didn't have a play happen against them that they weren't immediately able to respond to. It just looked like the Recon 5 we saw at the end of last season. I want to see Polar Ace make some really big changes in the draft of game 2 and really try to take it to this team, because I don't know if they can play the scaling style into what we just saw.
Well, we'll see if Polar Aces has anything else to bring up against our reigning champions, or if Recon 5 is going to start this season as they ended last one you're just completely dominant with a 2-0 victory. We're going to go into another short break as the teams get ready for game 2. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be a good one. Welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of the first series of ABL, Season 7, Recon 5, taking on Polar Ace eSports. It seems like Recon 5, just exactly the same as they were at the end of Season 6, completely dominating Game 1. Polar Ace eSports, even though they have the star power of Aussie, of Godir, of Jack, just seems like they couldn't hold a candle to Recon 5, as it was Sandillion and Moody that had incredible performances.
Yeah, and they're keeping that same style that we saw, that very aggressive style that Recon 5 was kind of known for last year. I want to see what Polar Ace can bring out to try to contest that. You know they're going to draft very similar composition. What can you do to counteract?
We'll see what they do decide to do. They went for the Sona and the Tahm Kench in Game 1. Very risky playstyle. It can be punished extremely hard by aggressive teams, which we know Recon 5 is. What would you like to see from Polar Ace if they are going to take us to a Game 3?
Again, I really think that they have to put more pressure around, or give Aussie something that he's more competitive with in the mid lane, or at least take away some of these power picks. You saw like Aatrox go through, Lux go through. These are top tier picks that they were giving away free to Recon 5. You cannot give away these super powerful picks just so that you can draft Comfort. If you want to draft Comfort, ban away what's good so you can play Comfort versus Comfort. But that's the best you can do. Otherwise, you got to be willing to take some of these power picks yourself.
Yeah, two huge picks that we want to look at are the Aatrox and the Lux. These are such strong champions right now, and we'll see if they get taken off the table. Is Recon 5 going to ban away Camille? Polar Ace eSports responding with the Nidalee.
Yeah, these are identical bans at the moment to what we've seen before. This will be Sivir if they want to match exactly what they had in Game 1.
They do take away the Sona act. About Recon 5 picking up the Sona, I don't really think it fits their playstyle, but it is always an option to go for. That means either the Aatrox or the Lux will be left on the table unless Recon 5 bans one of them away themselves.
Yeah. So that's what we'll have to see.
Going to be the Yuumi. I think that's a smart one. You get your kind of pick of the litter with the Aatrox and the Lux. You pick up whichever you think is stronger, which I personally believe to be that Aatrox. And we'll see if Polar Ace grab anything good for themselves on the back.
Yeah, Sivir is available as well. So Sivir, Lux, and Aatrox are right now, I think, the top 3 picks available at the moment. I would like to see one of them go to Recon 5 here. Otherwise, they're giving away the pick of the litter to Ace. They do take Sivir as expected. So again, Aatrox, Lux, some combination of the two, or maybe if they're just not comfortable with either, something that matches well into those because we know they're going to be coming out.
And I like this from Recon 5, despite Sandillion having a great performance on the Aatrox and Boom Hunter being so good with the light bindings on the Lux. Sivir is just such a strong champion right now. The spell shield means you almost are guaranteed to have a winning lane, as you can't be locked down by nearly anything. And all the push potential as well, just constantly shoving your enemy under their turret, just makes it an easy transition into your already incredible late game.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see the response pick is the Lucian here from the side of Polar Ace. I think that's a little bit more comfortable for the bot lane of Polar Ace. That is, my apologies, Exum. It's something that also beats Sivir a little bit in the laning phase. It certainly doesn't scale as well as the Sivir might, but it is a good counter so that Ace can try to get some pressure somewhere on the map.
And already we see a complete 180 from Polar Ace as they are going hyper aggression with that Lucian in the bot lane and then picking up Jarvan the 4 for Godir, their jungler. They want to try to take the fight to Recon 5, and I think if you want to take a game off them, that's the strategy you have to go for.
But
get it again, though.
Good composition from Recon. They get Sivir, Aatrox, and these are like arguably 3 of the best champions in the game right now that just got given away for free to Recon 5. Polar Ace has to have something available, otherwise they're just going to get run over based on the strength of these champions alone.
Yeah, so they will. And Sivir works so well with the Aatroxes, too. You get the World Ender, which already gives you move speed. And then On the Hunt layered on top of that means Aatrox has instant access to your backline. And you can throw the Final Spark on top of that to give him an easy reset on World Ender. Polar Ace eSports, though, picking up a Thresh for Jack. So looking to make some plays onto Yuki and Boom Hunter.
Complete 180 here from the bot lane of Polar Ace. They went last game with the Sona and the Tahm Kench to try to be passive and scale. In this one, they went Lucian Thresh. High aggression into the Sivir Lux. Lucian is an amazing pick into both of these champions, especially with the new build that's kind of surfaced, where you build more crit and less of that utility. Into this composition, we see 3 squishy champions already. I don't expect that to change much. That's what Recon 5 style is. I love this from Polar Ace so far. This is a much better composition they've designed already.
It absolutely is. However, they will be put on a little bit of a clock as Lucian notoriously scales very poorly into the late game. Sivir, one of the best scaling AD marksmen. So we will see Polar Ace. They take away the Elise, so at least it's a start.
Yeah, that they do. Now, they do end up leaving up Recon, which is something that was banned away in the last game by them, but there's no Xayah on the table so far from Recon 5, and Lux has already been taken, so don't expect that.
Yeah, the Lux could be flexed into the mid lane to pick up that Recon for the support. Recon not as strong without his lovers duo there, the bot side. We'll see. Polar Ace has first pick. They're going to hover the Malzahar and lock that one in. Not a champion we see too often, but piloted by Aussie, I think anything can be a danger.
Yeah, Malzahar is an amazing champion to pair with something like the Jarvan. It's also very good with something like Lucian. He provides this space that you can work with if you are the Lucian to run around, use that high mobility, especially if he wants to build something like Black Cleaver. It's not in the build at the moment, but if he does build it, the hyper mobility and the ease that come out from the Lucian are a lot easier to use when Malzahar is using Qs, silences, and that ultimate to try to suppress some of these champions that might be on top of the Lucian normal.
It also is a very good pick against the Aatrox. Aatrox pops the World Ender, dives into your backline. You can just suppress him so he can't get that reset off. In Recon 5, they pick up Morgana for themselves. So could potentially be their support that Lux and Morgana can be flexed around between Sandilian and Boom Hunter. But a lot of utility and a lot of safety for their carries as their final pickup is buy for Moody.
Yeah, very similar composition to what they were running last time. No Elise this time, but the Morgana provides the black shield for either the Vi or the Aatrox to just run in on top of Recon 5. They have the Sivir for some speed up. If Morgana wants to build something like a Shirelias, you can get this massive boost of movement speed alongside the catch potential with the Morgana black binding or the binding and the Q from Lux. It just makes it so difficult for a team. But this is a counter team fight team. You have Jarvan, you have Malzahar, you have Lucian and Thresh. You now have Fiora for some split push pressure as well. So if they're able to get some of these kind of keys going for the side of Polar Ace, this could be a lot different of a game than what we saw last time.
It 100% could be. However, you took the first step. You got the good composition. You have tools now to make proactive plays around the map and get yourself a lead. But at the end of the day, you're still up against the reigning champions. Recon 5 were so dominant at the end of last season. They've looked so dominant in their game 1 against Polar Ace. You have to beg the question, can you actually make those plays against such a high caliber team?
From what we saw last time, there wasn't a ton of just personal, outplay. A lot of it was some of these skirmish plays, some of these like individual rotations that were kind of getting outplayed. It looked like the team was better for Recon 5, but in terms of the individual play, there was some mild skill gaps, but it didn't look like anything was, too astronomical. We're not looking at like bronze players versus diamond players here. These are all very, very good players in their own right.
All right, before we start getting into breaking down the lane-by-lane matchups, want to give a quick shout-out to some people who have followed the stream. The Dissident, Recon 5 Org, and Milky Serial 1. All some friendly names and faces. Thank you so much for checking it out, for following us. We hope you enjoy the broadcast. Now as the bans are going to be coming through, this is exactly what we saw in the pro draft. Let's start to slowly, one by one, break down these lanes. So we saw Rampage picking up the Fiora in the top side. Bit more of a carry champion, scales very well. Going up against Tanzo's Aatrox, does he have, is he going to be able to take down this such a strong champion?
Yeah. So Aatrox is incredibly strong at the moment for a lot of reasons, but a lot of what made him strong or even capable of taking the early game away from Fiora has been eliminated from his kit. He doesn't have that immediate revive anymore that can keep him alive in the 1v1 duel. I think Fiora is a better matchup. It's certainly not a winning matchup early, but it's a better matchup early against the Aatrox than some champions. And late game, Fiora does not lose a duel to Aatrox. It doesn't happen. Once she gets on 2-3 items, it doesn't matter what Tanzo's build. Doesn't matter if he has 3 armor items in his inventory. Fiora will destroy the pure 1v1. At that point, I think it's smarter for Tanzo to go for more of a team fight build. Something like Black Cleaver, maybe Yumu's and Guardian Angel, as opposed to the pure lifesteal to try to 1v1 people, especially not to fight against this Fiora. Because if it does come down to the pure 1v1, he's going to lose it every time.
He absolutely will, but Aatrox still has such an impressive early game, so if he can put Rampage in a big enough hole, that point where he starts to win the 1v1 could be very far off into the future. However, Rampage is going to get a chance to prove himself against one of the best top laners in the ABL. Now, looking at the mid lane, we see Ozzy and a champion we don't see a whole lot of nowadays, the Malzahar going up against Sandilian's Lux.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what kind of build that the Malzahar chooses to go for, whether that's just more utility-based, glacial augment type Malzahar, where you're focused really, really heavily on the utility, or if it's a more damage-focused Malzahar. Of course, the utility one is technically, it's usually what you prefer in the 5v5 team play, something that's really, really beneficial for your team to have. But unfortunately, there's no other real magic damage source coming from the side of Polar Ace. So it wouldn't shock me to see him do something a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more magic-based, Luden, Zeko, that kind of thing, to make sure his team has that additional damage option. Lux into Malzahar isn't a matchup that Lux likes to play in. The best thing she can hope for is that her E connects with Malzahar and breaks his, the passive that he has, and then she can land a Q. But from that, she doesn't get much. She can't really do much. Even with her ultimate, talking 2 abilities and a couple auto attacks is not going to kill Malzahar. She needs to bring Vi in and try to get some, gank assists off with the Malzahar shield down so that they can get aggression there. Otherwise, I think Aussie has a much, much safer, much, much cleaner, game and much better way into the game than before that he had on the Aurelia into the Aatrox.
All right, and in the bot side of the map, we see Polar Ace eSports taking a 180 from their first game, grabbing themselves some aggressive picks in Lucian and Thresh, going up against such a power duo in Sivir and Morgana. How's this one going to roll out?
Double Spell Shield feels bad if you're the Thresh right now, because not only, you have to somehow play around both of those.
If Jack lands a hook, he wins the game. If Jack lands a hook in the laning phase, he has 100% done his job.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrifying to try to have to deal with that kind of thing. And it's worse also because the Black Shield and the Spell Shield both get into the Malzahar ultimate. And again, other than that one Q ability, there's no way to break the Black Shield with magic damage. So you can't even focus on that. You just have to try to play around the fact that somebody is going to be immune to CC at least a little bit. The one thing they do have is quite a bit of damage. Lucian, Thresh, very high damage champions into a squishy Morgana, into a squishy Sivir. And again, right now, the build path for Lucian into Sivir tends to avoid Black Cleaver, and you go right into crit. I'm curious to see whether XM makes that adaptation or not, or if he's still stuck to this Black Cleaver build, because he doesn't need it that much in this game. Vi and Aatrox might build some armor, but there's not going to be a ton on their side. So I want to see XM and Ace and Jack really, really focus on trying to win this laning.
All right, and speaking of Vi, the last matchup we have to go over is Moody versus God Eater, the Vi versus Jarvan the Fourth. Now, Jarvan, one of the best early game junglers in the game, but Vi scales pretty well and has a lot of gank assists herself. So who are we going to keep our eyes on this time around?
Again, I think both of them have quite a bit of early game impact. I think both of them clear very well in the same idea. I think Vi is a lot more impactful in the early stage of the game because dueling power is insanely high with all of the damage and the AoE that she brings alongside that CC with 2 different abilities, as opposed to the Jarvan who, really has the 1 CC move and then a lot of burst damage. But later in the game, Vi is going to have a much harder time trying to find an assassination target. Because really, who are you going to go on to? Malzahar is never really a great option. Jarvan's probably going to build tanky. Lucian is your best bet, but Thresh is going to be right next to him to, flay you off, hook you away from him. So it's difficult for Vi to try to find something in the later stages of the game. So Moody has really, really locked into this sort of early game pressure stat where he has to get his lanes ahead, has to get Sindili and Tanzo rolling, especially for Tanzo. Otherwise, he could suffer in that top lane matchup.
All right, well, we'll see if Recon 5 can pull off a undefeated start to the season or if Polar Ace can take a game off of the reigning champions. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go to a short break before we get on to the Rift. Recon 5 versus Polar Ace. Game point coming soon. And welcome back, everybody, to Game 2 of Polar Ace eSports versus Recon 5. We are out onto the Rift. Recon 5, such a dominant Game 1. See if Polar Ace eSports has found it within themselves with their new draft to take one back. Remember, if you guys do enjoy the channel and the content we bring, make sure to hit that follow button. And if you want to support us more, you can subscribe or donate to our channel. All the cash does go to our production team to bring you guys even better content.
Yeah. First $100 goes to buying Rebel new internet so he can actually cast the
That
game.
is not true. Definitely goes to audio.
Yeah, Sindillion actually was able to
donation
spot out this invade early, so he was able to catch them with a quick light binding. Unfortunately, every Lux everywhere buys Doran's Ring to start with, including support Luxes, so she didn't get any of that.
Unfortunate there. So we see the rest of the team moving out as a one-man unit. No cheeky five-man invades this time around that we have come to love so much in the ABL, but we do see plenty of emote flashing.
And gotta love some of
XM
these
is showing his prowess on Lucian with that level
Absolutely.
7 flare.
Gotta love when you break out like a champion that you're super good at, because it just makes you feel all the more it can make night and day difference in your performance in a game to play somebody you know how to play, that you like how to play, and just somebody that's good at the time. So hopefully XM has a better game on a champion he's more comfortable on here.
All right, well, we see both junglers starting here on the bottom side. We'll see where their paths take them. Moody gonna go for the Krugs into Raptors, a very experience and gold heavy first clear. So you see Gaudier pathing up to that top side now.
Interesting to see Gaudier do this. Obviously, you do like to focus down the top side of your map, the red side of your jungle every single time, because it has all the golden experience that you need. You don't really have to take the wolves and the Gromp camp to stay relevant as long as you're finding decent ganks. So seeing Gaudier path towards this top side means he's trying to get either Rampage or Aussie ahead. Clearly, neither of these champions has great gank assist this early in the game. So if I had to guess, I would say Lux
pathing directly up here to Rampage's lane, has the red and the blue. Jarvan's such a potent early jungler. Nice. Flag and Drag immediately flashed away from. Good respect there from Tanzo.
Yeah, well done by him. Of course, obviously he wants the advantage to go to Rampage, because if the faster Rampage has an advantage in the lane, the faster he doesn't have to worry about ever going up there ever again, because this Fiora will just take over. So very good respect flash there from Tanzo to start off. He still has some pressure that can be brought against Fiora, but now he has to be very, very careful because he has no defensive something.
So we see he is being a little bit more careful here. See Rampage going in for a trade, gets hit by the W, takes a good amount of damage, losing half his health in that exchange. Now here on the bot side, Jack is fishing for a hook, but he hasn't been able to find an angle yet. Level 2 Tormented Soil means Boom doesn't have access to the shield yet, but doesn't matter. She dodges it and throws out the binding to lock Jack down.
Yeah, poor Jack has to, again, deal with this double spell shield lane. This early is the best time that he can maybe find a hook onto one of these champions, but of course, they're going to be cognizant of that. They know that they're getting pushed in right now, trying to prevent that from happening. So, well played so far by Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter, knowing that this champion can have the death of them here early. Now that they have level 3, they should be perfectly fine to step up and push out these.
Yeah, you've got access to the spell shield as well as the black shield. And then the bottom side, XM does have a decent, CS advantage here to start things off. Has a couple more to pick up from this wave as well. Sitting about 5 over Yuki Bunny.
We do see that, Moody is on an invade path here towards the top side of the map. We're going to see if he's able to actually fight Gaudier with his Aftershock rune. Aussie has no ability to help either. They
do spite each other, but the light binding going to come down onto Aussie. He's falling so low. No Ignite available, though he opted for the barrier, and now Gaudier has to run for the hills, but Jack could be caught out this time.
Nice.
Flash over the wall, but still get hit by the binding. The charge from the Q over the wall for Moody, and first blood once again belongs to Recon 5.
Yeah, really unfortunate there for Jack. He roams up to try to hook or to lantern away Gaudier to get him out of that pure 1v1 with Moody. But unfortunately, Gaudier just runs away and gets over the wall himself. And then he's caught in a bad position between the Morgana and the Vi. And then, of course, also with Aussie being pushed out of lane, Sindillion comes down, hits a good binding as well. And everybody contributes. The flash meant nothing.
And that binding from Sendilian over the wall, predicting the flash from Thresh, was what set up that play. Beautiful shot there by Sendilian. Grabs his team the first blood. They blow very little on that either. No summoners burnt, and they get Jack's flash out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well played there by the side of Recon 5. Again, taking this composition, you have lane priority with Lux at least until the Malzahar has some mana to work with. You have lane priority with the Sivir and the Morgana bot lane because you are ranged champions with some decent wave clear. So you can take these duels in the jungle, especially into this Jarvan pick, who has the electrocute as opposed to the aftershock of Vi. It just lets Moody buy some space for himself, literally let him get all over the place like he wants to be. He wants to be aggressive on the map, wants to find these duels that he just got into, and that's what the composition is built around right now.
Now we kind of take a look around the map. Good CS advantage for Tanzo up here on the top side, sitting 11 over Rampage. You see that one kill did go over to Moody, so he is going to have a good lead and already sitting a good number of camps over Gaudier as well. So huge advantage for the Vi over Jarvan.
Absolutely. We've seen this. We saw this happen last game as well. That doesn't mean that Gaudier's out of this one quite yet, because again, he's still Jarvan. He still has a lot of this gank pressure, very good early game damage, especially with the electrocute. Might see aggression here towards bot side. Nah, I'm just going to one.
Outside, a little bit of aggression coming through, but Yuki, Bunny, and Boom Hunter doing a good job at stabilizing this lane. Now just a 4 CS advantage for the Lucian. Yuki Bunny picking up the call as well, so going to be getting a little bit more gold into his pocket as the lane goes on.
Yeah, interesting for him to find this gold gap where the opposition, the Lucian, he built his Vampiric Scepter very, very early. So the Sivir, knowing that's going to be the case, responds with just the single longsword in the Cull to try to get an even further farm advantage over the Lucian, try to spike her a little bit faster. Very interesting decision by Yuki Bunny.
Definitely is, but up here on the top side, Tanzo's lead continues to grow now, 20 over Rampage, shoving him in under the turret mercilessly. As the ultimate available, Gaudier still level 5, can't really help that lane all too much right now without access to the Cataclysm.
That he can, and even with it, it's still difficult to gank this Aatrox because he can just dash over the wall, and then the ultimate has the movement speed to get him away from any sort of fight like that. The Aatrox does have advantage in this lane early. It's just what happens, especially with early CDR on the Caulfields that he built. It makes it difficult for the Fiora to stay near her wave when it's not under her tower. So playing defensively is fine for Rampage as long as he's able to not die early to this Aatrox.
Yep, and now we see here in the jungle, blue buff is going to be donated over to Ozzy, helping shove it in the lane, but Rampage wants to get aggressive. Pull back, nice Ripazay to dodge that stun coming in from the W. Doesn't quite find the vital there, and does take the worst end of that trade as he falls down to about half health. Will be chugging the Corrupting Potion as well, has that Vampiric Scepter to sustain up from that. Tanzo already full health from some potions of his own.
Yeah, if Tanzo really wanted to get aggressive in this laning phase, really wanted to extend this lead as long as he possibly could, he could build an Executioners and just defend himself in the top lane. He could stall out as best he can. The rest of his team has plenty of advantage to work with. We saw Moody with that early duel, just got the Dragon, has bot side priority here, might look to gank up, but the ward's probably going to spot him out. But still, controlled the map over to the side of Recon 5, so Tanzo might just look to stall out the Fiora long enough for them to win. Oh!
All right, but here in the bottom side, ultimate from Vi gonna come through, and Moody finds Jack. They're able to take him down off the backhand of a great binding from Morgana.
Yeah. A little bit interesting to find that kind of thing. I thought what was going to happen is Vi was going to streak around the back to try to get some vision control, take away that control ward. Instead, she hops over the wall, a binding found onto Jack, and then the aggression onto him. Very, very easily to secured kill. Again, another aggression here by Moody. He's just controlling these games on these junglers.
Such a proficient player, especially here in the early game. 2 games in a row now, he's had great impact around the map, as well as a significant farm advantage over Gaudier. This man, a huge proponent of why his team is such highly rated in the ABL.
Yeah, we were talking about, solo lane advantages, single player advantages. Probably the biggest one I've seen in the entire series is Moody over Gaudier. That's not to speak to the level of Gaudier. It's just to speak to the level of Moody. The man is absolutely incredible right now through these 2 games so far. Even if he weren't to have a great game in this one, he'd still have had very high priority in the early game, and he'd still arguably be the best player so far.
Definitely is. Now here in the mid lane, we see a good CS lead for Sandillion as well. 15 CS up over Aussie. Now almost, still about 20 in the top side for Tanzo. Sandillion picks up the blue buff here to continue pushing in that Malzahar. And it's not only the plays that are going the way of Recon 5, they're getting advantages just through farming all across the map.
Yeah, that they are. Finding some pretty decent lane advantages here. We see Vi kind of creeping around mid lane with the Malzahar shield broken now, so he has to be a little bit more careful when he comes back. Oh.
All right, the Vine going to be dodged here from Aussie. The flash away, but here comes the ultimate from Vi. Interrupts the Malzahar suppress, but now on the bot side, it is going to be Boom Hunter getting put in the dunk tank. Now Tanzo popping the World Ender, wants to go in, but Rampage showing up means he has to back off. Jack so low, but will walk away for his life. Polar Ace Esports finds one on the backhand, but they trade it for that kill in the mid lane.
Yeah, phenomenal play across the map. Good response there from the side of Polar Ace, not just giving away that mid lane kill free to Moody, but certainly that bot lane play I think could have played a little bit more cleanly, and they could have found a little bit more advantage. They traded summoners basically evenly across the map with only the flashes up from both ADCs, and only found the 1 kill into Boom Hunter. In fact, I think if the TP hadn't come out,
looking. Doesn't want to go over the wall with Malzahar, still having that spell shield up. Is popped now as Boom Hunter comes to the mid lane to try to help take a couple plates for Sandillion. And you still see Moody hanging over this wall. They might still look for the dive. Gaudier's on the way, though.
Yeah, they do want to aggress onto this Malzahar pick. It's very easy to bully him out, at least
here he comes.
Early stage.
Ain't gonna go in. The Q not going to connect him with Jarvan here. They are going to back out. Gaudier doesn't have access to the Cataclysm just yet, and that means nothing's gonna happen in the play.
Yeah, no suppression.
Hang on, though, because XM and Jack are coming up from the bottom lane. Can he find the hook? Does lane onto Sandillion. Great play back. Sandillion has to blow the flash. There comes the barrier. The flash flag and drag from Gaudier locks him down long enough for Aussie to grab the kill. Beautiful play there by Polar Ace, coordinating to take down Sandillion, and now they're going to be looking to grab this tier 1 turret.
That was the cleanest rotation I think I've seen Polar Ace make the entire game. The question is, they have more members here on the mid tower, but they have no wave if these 2 minions go down before they're able to secure it. I think bot lane's going to go down first. In fact, I think bot lane's going to go down first anyway, especially since Moody is here to contest it. So good rotation there, good attempt. We're just going to have to see. This is a base race here. Oh, they have no minions on bot side. They're going to get mid tower first.
Oh, that means the turret will probably go the way of Polar Ace. 13 minutes in game. They're going to collect all those plates. And it should be a trade on the bot side, but a little bit of an advantage going towards Polar Ace. They might actually go down to contest this.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to make it down in time to actually contest for any sort of play here onto the Sivir and the Morgana. A good advantage getting that first tower gold secured for their team, but obviously spreading it across 4 members is not as good as having the focused gold of putting it, especially onto like a Sivir. So now Sivir completes her Essence Reaver, has that Cull still stacking, has some advantage here that she can work with right now. And I think that in the long run, that amount of gold might actually make a difference in the game.
We see Recon 5 looking for this Mountain Dragon now. They're spotted out by the Rift Scuttle vision. As Sandillion just ults the mid-wave to make sure that it is pushed up for this play. Aussie roaming down here is going to be missing farm as he comes to help out his team. Mountain Drake is going to fall in favor of Recon 5. And Polar Ace just too slow to the play. They're not able to contest it at all.
The one thing
Recon 5 get a turret on the backhand too.
They are giving free time to Rampage on the top side, but there's just not enough room for him to feel comfortable pushing for this top side. So as you said, free Mountain Drake and mid turret, now 2 Mountain Drakes for the side of this Recon 5 squad. Just terrifying that they're going to have to be able to play around objective plays the way they will. I do think the one caveat to that is that the composition from Polar Ace is better in the pure 5v5 around some of these team fights than the things like the Vi, the Lux, and the Sivir all together. But still, double Mountain Drakes means they are going to be able to spike those objective downs all the faster.
They absolutely will. Now we see XM and Jack coming up here to the top side. Bit of a lane swap as those tier 1 turrets are still available. Tanzo and Rampage will continue their duel down here in the bot half of the map. Tanzo still sitting about 20 CS up over the Fiora. Neither one has a fully completed item yet, but Rampage, with all the life steal coming through from the Tiamat and the Vampiric Scepter, should be just fine against the Aatrox.
Yeah, getting very close to finishing this Ravenous Hydra. That's a decent power spike. Although I do think it would have been a little bit better for him if he had gone Tiamat and then go into something like if he goes into Death's Dance, that could be smart. Bloodthirster, try to out sustain this guy, or even something along the lines of Black Cleaver might not be a horrible decision.
Ooh, Hook's gonna land onto the Sivir, goes in with the play. The ultimate gonna come through, but Moody jumps over the wall. And the Morgana's gonna flash away, but the Ignite will burn her down. S is looking for the play now. Moody is going to be able to get away with the Q. Doesn't even have to burn the flash. And it's going to be a pick now onto Gaudier as the final spark will find him from downtown. 2 quick kills there for Recon 5. Just trading over Boom Hunter.
Yeah, well done. Boom Hunter, of course, going down to the Lucian does make his, the Lucian's job a little bit easier when he starts to build some of these crit items. But obviously, getting a couple of kills for the side of Recon 5 is exactly what they wanted. Poor Jack gets punished for hitting the only hook he'll probably hit in this entire game against these two with the spell shields. But, it got to feel bad for him at least a little bit. And then a good catch onto Gaudier, catch him out pathing in the wrong direction. Not really paying attention to the warding, not respecting what Recon 5 could bring. So well done by them. Good setup play.
They absolutely did pull that off quite nicely. And you can see, even though the hook did land onto Yuki Bunny, the Black Shield made it so hard to follow up. Now Rampage, hit by that W, finding a bad trade there against the Aatrox, still winning this matchup, at least for the time being.
It is all about kind of dodging these Qs from both of these champions. It makes it difficult for either of them if they can't dodge Qs to win any sort of deal. We see Ozzy's down here.
There could be in trouble. Has to flash away with the World Ender just to escape as you see Ozzy roaming down.
He's shutting the door on all of these plays in aggression against him. Tanzo has not had any sort of impact in terms of the kills of this game, but he's given nothing over to Rampage. He's taking this advantage he has on his champion, and again, just extending it as long as he can. Moody, Sindillion, Yuki Bunny, and Boom have the map under their control at the moment. He doesn't need to push for anything, doesn't need to be this super aggressive powerhouse so long as he's a brick wall.
Absolutely will. So now we see 17 minutes into the game. It is a pretty sizable lead, 4,000 gold here for Recon 5. Baron is going to be spawning in just 2 minutes, and with double Mountain Dragon, that is something you have to be careful of if you are Polar Ace. That objective will fall so fast with the likes of a Vi and a Sivir having those double Mountain.
Absolutely. But again, you have to be careful if you're on the side of Recon 5 to get the proper setup before you go for anything like this. Even with double Mountain Drakes, you have massive engage and CC potential from both the Jarvan and the Malzahar. And even the Thresh. So you're talking, as long as Lucian is relevant in the game to some extent, there's a lot of potential that can be had in the pure 5v5 or the 4v4 should Rampage be split pushing and someone responds to him.
Speaking of that Lucian, it does look like he is going for the Essence Reaver Rush second, so going to be going into that crit, skipping over the Black Cleaver. Isn't going to offer as much of an immediate power spike, but will scale a little better. Still not to the likes of something like a Sivir, but it's something.
Yeah, I think with the added positioning power of having the Thresh or the hook potential, having the zoning of something like the Malzahar, I do think his job's a lot easier. His scaling becomes a lot easier to access when it comes to the later stage of the game with the champions that they've chosen. But again, as you said, it's much easier for Sivir to just throw a W out and hit all 5 members with that. She just doesn't have the kind of backup to do it.
Oh my goodness, look at the damage coming out onto Jack. Moody goes forward.
Wow.
Lanes are going to come through, but they're not going to choose to take it. Binding laning onto Gaudier, but he is far enough away. The engage won't come through. However, forcing them out of the river means that Recon 5 can now look to grab this 3rd Elemental Drake.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I've seen a lot of good plays from Recon 5 over the last year, especially when they won the championship. That might have been one of the cleanest decisions I've ever seen them make. They called immediately off of that fight when they didn't go perfectly the way it started. Moody was able to back away without getting hooked or anything. They walk away with a free dragon just by pushing them out of the river. That was amazing play by Recon 5. They didn't kill anybody. They didn't push anything. They didn't kill any minions. They didn't get any special outplays. But that is some clean decision making. That's what makes them a team.
And the fact that as they were pushing them out of the jungle, they were simultaneously clearing out all the vision. So once the entirety of Polar Ace was out of the river, they could no longer move back in for fear of somebody waiting in the bush with a binding or a ultimate or something to that effect. They had no knowledge, and that is why Recon 5 were able to make it. But the flash ultimate from Moody, the Lucian will get away. Black Shield not gonna come through in time. Moody looking to walk away is going to cue to safety, but the flash, the suppress, and the dunk coming through from God here. Polar Ace find their play, but Yuki Bunny on the backhand is able to take down Aussie, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade.
But again, so many summoner spells used. You had flash from all 4 members on this top side of the map. Just to
Bunny though gonna land onto the Lux. God here goes in, but it's only to his doom, as the Rift Herald is going to take down this tier 2. And it's going to be another kill, plus a turret going to Recon 5.
Yeah, barely keeping that redemption, barely kept Boom Hunter alive at the very, very last second. But another really, really good play. Again, they're making this team have to overextend to try to find things. Gaudier went really, really deep into the side of Recon 5 just to try to get something back. And, you know, it was very, very close, but he wasn't able to get anything, and it turned around on them completely. Now still have pressure all over this map, all of topside in their favor. As you said, double Mountain Drake, this Baron's on the table for a team.
Absolutely is. Baron now live on the Rift. And you can just see the line of wards here in the jungle. From the Krugs all the way to the river, they have it completely mapped out. They're looking to clear even more vision away. Scryer's Broom gonna be popped, but the entire river is dark here for Polar Ace.
Yeah, and we see some of the scaling starting to come in for the side of Recon 5. Death Cap finish for the Lux. We see double crit items finish for Yuumi with the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge. Those two, already set up to do some really heavy damage in some of these team fights if the AoE is there for them. Yuki Bunny, especially with this high mobility and with this Morgana Black Shield, could just be terrifying in a team fight.
That Death Cap on the Lux could be so much damage, but Jack getting caught out. The final spark can do a massive chunk of damage, and Yuki will take the credit for that one. Tanzo just continuing to keep Rampage locked in this lane. Top lane certainly is an island this time around, and we have not seen any interaction from Rampage or Tanzo with their team for 22 full minutes. But now it is the entirety of Recon 5 looking for this Baron. They did their due diligence. The vision is gone. They took out Jack. And with the numbers advantage, they're looking to push the objective. Tanzo gonna use a teleport, but immediately suppressed. And he could go down. Later, the ring will slow him, but he flashes over the wall. The final spark, so much damage from Sindelian as he takes down XM with one combo. Now Tanzo looking to do the same to Aussie. A double kill for Sindelian. And Jack, he just respawned, but he has to run for his life. Recon 5 get the Baron plus 2 members, and now they're looking to make the push.
That's the power of the second item, Death Cap Lux. No magic resist on this. Lucian means the second that he gets tapped with any ability, that ultimate will absolutely destroy him, as you just saw. The two of them, Aussie and XM, both had a really good play onto Tanzo. If it weren't for his flash, he would have absolutely gone down there. But Sindelian catching him with that light binding at the very, very end just completely devastated that fight. Allowed for Tanzo to turn around and fight Aussie as well, get that kill. They end up with so much off the back of this Baron play.
And now Polar eSports, they've respawned, but they're just going to get sent right back to their graves as Yuki Bunny unstoppable. That combo from Moody and Sindelian does so much damage. And now Recon 5 could just look to end the game right here. Only 23 minutes into the game. A great hook onto the Sivir, but the Black Shield blocks the suppress. Recon 5, can you pull it off? Rampage is able to find a massive shutdown. Yuki Bunny is out of the fight. They're missing their DPS. But I don't even think they care. They still want to end it right here, right now. Aussie looking to make the hero play, but another final spark. What a low cooldown. And with so many members gone, God, you're the only one remaining. XM will finally respawn, and that is going to be just enough to make Recon 5 think twice about taking the Nexus. But they have broken the base wide open.
Yeah, absolutely devastating plays here from Recon 5. That's a crippling blow right there. Off the back, as you said, this Moody and Syndilian combination, the Vi ultimate going in a straight line to somebody behind another person allows for Lux ultimate to hit 2 different people for basically free. And then Moody's combo on top of that, as you said, the damage is astronomical. There's no way you survive anything like that. Were it not for a couple of really, really important hooks and a couple of really good plays from some of these other players, that could have easily been game right then and right there. But Yuki Bunny went down to a hook from Jack, probably the second one that he's hit all game, unfortunately. But, you know, obviously they got to recover from basically, they're one step away from losing this game.
And it is so hard for Jack with the double spell shield, but the great hook that he found under the Nexus turrets, and then Rampage flashing in to get the kill. Trades his own life, but he says, you know what? As long as Sivir is not alive, we have a chance to stall this one out.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, that did happen. Rampage finds that shutdown too. So again, if they can get this game to last just a little bit longer, Rampage will start to turn into the side lane beast that can take the Aatrox. Even this strong of an Aatrox is just so difficult. Now, you're talking Spell Shield, Black Shield, and QSS now done for the Sivir. There's no way to see Azure. Oh, Moody!
Oh, there's a flash in! The final spark! Not gonna find anybody just yet. Malzahar has to flash away. Jack gonna be the first casualty. Syndilian is taking him down, and Recon 5 run a warpath as they take down 4. Rampage, the only one left. But the revive from Tanzo means he cannot go down. And there it is. Recon 5 continuing the dominance from the end of Season 6. They will start Season 7 undefeated.
Man, this team, again, they're rolling right out of that victory, and they're looking even cleaner than last time. 26-minute games in 2 separate ones. Their communication looks absolutely on top of everything. Their individual plays look absolutely spectacular, and their one weakness, again, that bot lane, a little bit of inconsistency last season. Yuki Bunny and Boom Hunter, amazing combination in that bot lane. If you're any other team in the league that just watched this game, you have to start writing notes now on how to fight this team, because it is going to be a damn high mountain to try to climb.
Recon 5 did not lose any steam from the offseason. They have come out swinging and knocked Polar eSports right out of the series. What an explosive way to start off the season. And I would like to mention that in both games, it only took them 1 Baron to close it out. That is truly the mark of a top-tier team, is you can get an advantage, yes, but can you close that out efficiently? They passed that test with flying colors, and I am so excited to see what they have in store for us for the rest of Season 7.
I do think that the side of Polar Ace gave them quite a bit in terms of drafting as well. You're talking Lux Aatrox in both games, and then Sivir in this one as well. Those are legitimately probably top 5 champions in their, just in general in the game. Maybe top 2, top 3 in their respective roles across the board that they're giving away. So I don't know if it's Polar Ace is, not able to play some of these champions that are in the meta, or if they just read it wrong. But certainly, Recon 5 not afraid to just jump on these powerful champions and just kick some.
And they've shown that they can play them so well too. And that's really all there is. Recon 5 still the team that we saw at the end of last season, and they will be looking to show us another great performance as the season progresses. However, that is we will be seeing if we can get an interview with one of the players. We are going to take a short break before that as we wait for them to get back to us. So if you want to see what the members of Recon 5 have to say, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with one of them. Welcome back, everybody. We have with us Sendillion from Recon 5 after the wonderful 2-0 victory. Seemed like such a dominant performance. Did that go the way you guys were expecting?
Yeah, pretty much, honestly.
It seems like you guys really didn't lose any steam at all coming off the offseason. How did you guys spend your time between winning the championship last season and your first game in Season 7?
It was just lots of scrims because we have the new bot lane. We weren't playing in any tournaments because the other tournament we were playing in more or less ended. I think it ended before ABL. We finished ABL. Wait, maybe it was the other way around. But regardless, there wasn't like any tournament play we had. It was just lots of scrims once we found our new bot lane. And yeah, our scrims felt really good. Like we were scrimming really high quality teams, and we were going even against like these Masters GM teams, which was like pretty satisfying. So I was pretty confident coming into this.
You guys coming in with basically the same roster. Obviously, as you said, the new bot lane. How does it feel to play with them? What's different about playing with them? Do you think that they are an improvement over last season?
I would, yes, definitely.
Salt aside, my apologies. Salt aside.
Salt aside, yeah. It's definitely improvement. Yushi's always such a reliable carry. It's insane, actually. This dude, like, I have not seen him int like at all. He just never loses.
It's a really great quality to have in ADC.
Yeah.
You guys had such a dominating performance. What do you think happened that made that series go so right?
I think we ran pick ban extraordinarily well. Shout out to to our triple coach in that game. I think we ran pick ban really, really well, which helped. Moody popped off pretty well. I mean, like to a degree, everyone popped off, but I think Moody also did exceptionally well. He had tracked their jungler like the entire game. No, realistically, the only reason their jungler even got kills is just classic monkey shenanigans of laners not listening to junglers. I take full acceptance for that. My only death last game was not listening to my team tunneling. So,
there you have it. Well, thank you, Sendillion, for joining us in the interview desk. Congratulations on your win, and good luck for the rest of the season. I'm sure you guys are going to give us a great show.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
All right, well, that is going to wrap it up for us here on the broadcast desk. Thank you to everybody for watching. If you did like the content, make sure to hit that follow button. If you want to support us, you can subscribe or donate. All of that is going to go straight to our production team so we can bring you even better content. But until next time, I am Audio. I've been joined by Rebel Fox, and we will see you tomorrow.